Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. Today I wanted to talk to you about the fact that OCD always attacks what is the most important to you. So, in case you're trying to figure out, well, why am I getting this thought? Why don't I have this other OCD, which seems easier? It's because that this specific situation is what's scariest to you. Now, for someone else, something else might be scarier. And if they got OCD, it would attack that, you know or it could be the most important to the present situation. So for example, um, a person who has a high responsibility job such as a doctor, right, would get OCD about like stuff that has to do with responsibility, that has to do with their job, very likely, right? Or a person who is very religious very likely will get thoughts about religion, right? It just attacks what is the most important. Now in these two situations, if the person stopped being a doctor and was no longer in a high responsibility job, OCD might shift to something else. If the person stopped being religious, it might shift to something else. Or if a person changed religion, it would switch to a different to the new religion, right? So it just goes with whatever you're saying is the most important. Because going back to how OCD works is when you are telling your mind, I am very scared of this. I need to protect myself by doing compulsions. Your mind flags this thought and sends you more of this similar type of thought, you know? So you have to understand why this is happening and viewing it as like, okay, well, so what? Clearly, this is why it's sending it to me. It's not a big mystery, and I need to disregard because it's the same thought I've gotten for a long, long time, you know? You have to take that chance and choose to disregard it. You don't wait for the feelings to for it to feel right to disregard, or for you to be certain that you can disregard. You just make a choice, right? It's like I always say, jumping out of an airplane with a parachute that may or may not open. That moment when you jump out of an airplane, you don't really know if the parachute will open, but you're just jumping. So this is what you're doing here. You're just saying, I'm just going to disregard because I've had this for a long time. You know, and you will see that you will not be wrong. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've never seen a person, you know, make a mistake with this, you know. But the more you pay attention, the scarier these thoughts gonna get, the more realistic they feel, the less you see the reality of the situation, and the more compulsions, whether mental like rituals, analyzing, or physical compulsions or avoidances you end up doing, So look at it as this is my theme, with a lot of clients. We call it we make an analogy to like a radio playing, and it's just playing your greatest hits, you know and sometimes it switches to new greatest hits, but pretty much it's always the same, right? So it might add a new one into the mix if that one is important to you, right? But it's just playing the same thing over and over again, you know so instead of paying a lot of attention to it, you have to say, no, I'm done with this. I'm choosing to disregard and I'm moving forward no matter what. And that no matter what will keep you going. And like I say, it's 5% by 5%. This is not you don't have to do everything at once. A lot of the times I talk to clients and it's like this, okay, I'm going to do everything in one day. In 10 years, not once have I seen the person go from disregarding or from paying attention every time, all the time, to just disregarding. You know, there's always going to be a pushback, right, from the brain, and it's very, very difficult to resist. But if you just do little bit by little bit, and I mean, I'm saying like at least a little bit, right? So you can do 20%, you can do maybe 50% disregarding, but don't go for the perfection, because it's again that perfection aspect that I'm going to have to do it perfectly. And then the person tries to do it perfectly. They obviously can't. Um, then they get discouraged and then they're like, "Ugh, that means I'm never going to recover." you know so it's just like, going from one end of the spectrum to the other, not able to get there, and they give up completely. Rather than if that same person would have just done 5% by 5% by 5%, and not worrying about as you are going like this, don't focus your attention of on oh, I just don't feel much better yet, because then you're starting to panic about how you feel, and then it kind of brings you back. So, you know what? It's going to take a few months for these feelings to subside, for me to feel better, for me to see the reality. It's not going to happen in one day because I haven't had OCD one day, right? So, I've been giving this wrong programming to my brain for a while. So, in order to undo this, it's going to take more than a day. And that's okay. It's going to take more than a few, it might take a few months, and that's okay. So we're not chasing any feelings. We're saying it's going to be how it's going to be. My job is to do the correct action, the correct reaction to the thoughts, whether it's mental or physical. When I think that this is kind of like what differentiates uh, what I do in the recovery program with a lot of the therapists, because we don't really discuss about like much about how bad the person feels in terms of the feelings. It's an action based program. So my main questions and my main goal has to do with understanding, okay, how much did the person do in terms of actions that they needed to do in the specific time period between sessions, right? I'm just saying, like, if you're doing this on your own, this is how you have to view it, that what exactly did I do? Okay, how can I do more? Because if you start to focus on the feelings, well, I feel so bad, well, this is never going to work, my life is falling apart. Yes, that's all true, but we can talk about how bad it is, or we can change it. We can fix the situation. So we need to focus on the action in order to fix it. You know, and if you're doing this on your own, this is how you have to view it. It's action based recovery. Otherwise, you can talk about how bad things are forever. If you look on any OCD forum, there's people who are complaining for 30, 40 years until one day they say, you know what? I'm done. I'm putting my foot down and I'm just going to do the work now, and then a miracle happens and they recover. you know Again, not over the course of a day, over the course of a few months, right? So but it's because I find that thought process, that decision, is what makes the recovery. I hope you find my videos helpful. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please subscribe. I do daily videos. If you would like to do the recovery program, as always, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.